Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. It's me again. So for this week video, we are not gonna talk about Aspen Plus because I haven't prepared anything at all this week. So I decided to do something else. For this video, I decided to show you a cool software that you can use to create a nice plot. For example, you can plot XRD pattern. In this case, we're going to plot XRD pattern. You can also use, you can also plot like for example, TGA curve, NMR spectra, UV-Vis, or even FTIR spectra, whatever you have. And the software that we're going to use today is called MagicPlot software. Unfortunately, the software that I have is a free version. It is a student version. So it has a very limited or basic, I would say, function as opposed to its commercial or full full spec software. The full spec software can be used to do a lot of stuff, but student version is enough for you to create a very nice plot for your thesis or for even your publication, because I think most of you probably are graduate student, like PhD student or master student, or even undergrad student trying to complete your FYP project, for example. All right, so as I have mentioned just now, we today our task is to plot XRD pattern. Okay, to plot a nice XRD pattern using the MagicPlot software. So let's begin. All right, but before that, I just want to mention that there are a lot of other available software that can be used to plot a nice figure. You can use Excel, but personally, I don't really like to use Excel anymore to plot my my figures, because it's too I don't know how to say this, but it's too Excel, if you know what I mean. And then you can also use MATLAB, Origin, MagicPlot, and there are a lot more software that can be used. And of course, for publication and thesis, you need to have a good quality image, and in order to get a good quality images or plot, you need to take you need to get a good data. So when you send your sample to your operator, you must make sure that the resolution is high enough, and then the intensity count is high enough, sample amount is high enough, is a lot for them to have a nice curve. And of course, it's not easy to create a plot, so it takes time. But I guarantee you, but if you spend quite some time, to create your own plot, I mean, you should be able to get a nice figure for your publication or thesis. Now, the issue here that I observe when I see student thesis or even review a manuscript, some people, they just use whatever plot that they got from the operator. Now, sometimes it's okay, I guess, but it'd be even better if you can create it yourself, because normally the one that you get from the operator probably have a low resolution, and that sometimes you need to stack the figure, stack the plot to have a better comparison, so on and so forth. Therefore, I recommend you to get the raw file, the raw data from the operator. And then when students get the plot from the operator, they are tempted to use just that, and the result of that is you'd have a very I would say not really nice looking kind of plot, if you know what I mean. And then I saw students also use Excel. There's nothing wrong with it, but they just but what they did was they just select the data that they want, and then go to plot, scatter, line, or whatever, and then plot, and then that's it. Just change the X label, X-axis label, and the Y-axis label, and then be done with it. Now they don't really take effort to make the figure nicer. For example, I saw most of the students don't really do create a border for your plot. But if you see like a published work in a high quality journal, like maybe Nature or Science or Anjiwan, or even ACS publication, you can see that they all share similar like a characteristic of plot where they have a border. Anyway, so today, yeah, as I said, previously, we're gonna create a plot of XRD pattern. So these are the condition that I use after I have do it myself first. So we're gonna try to recreate this plot. These are based on my published data. Not really published, I think. Is it published or not? I don't really remember. But so I have three plots stacked together. I have uh, y-axis label, x-axis label, and so on and so forth. And then and then I'm going to export the figure, okay, the plot into 600 dpi images, meaning that 600 dpi means dot per inch, meaning that kind of like resolution when you plot when you print out the figures. Normally for publication you need at least 300 dpi, so this is more than enough. All right, that's it for the introduction. Let's go to our plotting software. Okay, guys, this is my MagicPlot graphical user interface. It is a student version, so there's a lot of things that are missing. That are, there are a lot of functions that are missing, but it is a free version. You can download. You can just search. You can just Google and then download the software. So to create the figure, what I need to do first is I need to have a data. Okay, I need to import the data. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to here. Create table, like Excel table. So I'm going to add a few more columns. So right click, insert column to the left, maybe 5 columns enough perhaps. All right, next I'm gonna go to my Excel, because this is where I import my Excel. As you can see here, normally when you use Excel, the default what is it called? The default font is Calibri, but I personally prefer like an Arial or maybe Trebuchet MS for my plot, because it's clear and then it's kind of like a roundish, or even sans serif is better. But I don't really recommend you to use what is it called, Times New Roman for your plot, because it doesn't look quite nice in my opinion. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select all of this data. All right, Control C, just copy, and then here, paste. Okay, I have all of the data here. So what I'm going to do next is, I'm going to highlight everything. And then I'm going to go here, create figure, and then I'm going to choose line. All right. Just hit OK, just hit OK or add to figure. And then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to close this guy, and then this guy. All right, so this is basically my setup when I create my plot. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to move it slightly up, I guess. And then I'm going to modify the y-axis scale. So double click, and then y-axis scale on the left. The what is it called? The figure mark here. All right. I prefer it to be out. And then the width, my setup is 1.5, length is 4, and then the minor axis is 1.5 also, and then the length is 2.0. And then I'm going to apply to the same, and then out. All right, I'm going to apply the same setup for the entire the rest of the axis, left, right, top, bottom. So oops, I forgot one more. So my axis should be 1.5. All right. And then I'm going to apply the same thing. And then close. All right. So normally when you have a stack figure, okay, stack pattern, this one will not have any, what is it called? Will not have any figure actually. No, will not have any numbers, because normally we're gonna name the axis title as maybe intensity. AU here means arbitrary unit. So as I said, I don't really like Times New Roman, but this day I like to use a Trebuchet MS actually. And then I always keep font 14. So, and then I put bold. And then here, I don't really like this scale, this figure mark. So I'm gonna turn it off. I'm not gonna have ticks, so turn it off. And then maybe I'll move it slightly to the right, and then move it to this right a bit. Okay, and then what I'm gonna do next is, as you can see, I have extra, I'll say background here, so I'm gonna modify them later. But before that, let me finish up the rest of the label or figure setting. So double click. Okay, for this one, no need to do anything, but I just need to change the font to trebuchet. Normally, between the axis title and then the numbers, if I choose 12, the axis title should be 14. So if I choose 14 for the figures, 16 for the title. That's my setup normally. Here is to theta and then degree, and then change the font, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to change, as you can see here, my plot is smaller than the canvas. Okay, these are called canvas. So what you can do is just right click, figure properties. I go to canvas. So the canvas here, the width is 14.6. And then the height here is 11.2. DPI here, as I said, dot per inch. So I'm going to use, instead of 300, I'm going to use 600. And then I'm going to hit OK. Now, I'm going to make it slightly larger. This looks nice, I guess. All right. And the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to modify the plot. Double click the plot. Again, my setup is 1.5. The color, I prefer to be, pragmatic, I guess. I don't choose like a weird colors, but I will use like a very clear color. For example, I will use black color here. Close. For the second one, I'm going to modify the style to a continuous line, 1.5. And then color, I use custom color. Maybe I will choose a red color. And I hit OK. And then the third one is probably I will choose a blue colors. My style is black, red, blue, green. Yeah. All right, now I have created the basically the plot. The next thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna adjust the distance between the peak here to the border and then the bottom here to the border. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna adjust the y-axis scale. Okay, double click and then Y, and then you go to axis general. So here I would specify -6 and then 350. And then as you can see here, you have like a what is it called? A gap. These are okay, but I prefer it to be slightly closer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing, double click, axis general. So this one should be minus 4.5 to 25.5. All right. Okay, I'm done creating the plot. The next thing that I need to do is just create the figure labeling. Now, some students just use like a standard auto labeling. That's okay, but you should spend time, to create your own label. Maybe I put the label, the curve label here. Let's say here is it simulated. And then I would choose 12. Maybe bold color perhaps. And then I'll put them somewhere here. And then just copy and paste. This one is called, and then colors should be red colors. Somewhere here, I think. Maybe here. And then Here is called membrane. So MEMBR is a membrane. So, and I choose blue colors. All right. Okay, this is too big, I guess. So I have to put them somewhere here. And then maybe this need to go up slightly, and then this need to go up slightly. All right, so, and then I'm gonna copy, paste. I'm gonna label this peak 110. These are diffraction peak, by the way. So to those who have, you know, to use to who has like a crystalline material, they should recognize there's a peak, and then there's a HKL value for the peak. And then 211. Okay, and then I also can create a note here. Maybe, for example, you know, sometimes note can be very useful. You know, to describe some of the information in the plot. So maybe I will write down something like HKL is equal to indices, perhaps, you know, something like this. And then maybe I'll place it, you know, somewhere in the middle. Sometimes you can also have like a something like this to highlight that, you know, the plot, the what is it called, the peak for the experimental and the theoretical are the same. You can do that if you want. I prefer not to do it actually, depending on the situation. But for this one, maybe I would prefer to use like a star, for example. I don't know, star here. Choose colors just to highlight that these are, you know, this peak are the characteristic peak of the material. Something like this, right? So yeah, basically I have created my plot, and then I need to double check my setup. So DPI, 600 DPI, so the rest are okay. What I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna export the images, and then I go to desktop, maybe put figure 1, and then save. And then after that, you can open your, for example, Microsoft Word, and then you can go insert figure, this device, and then in the desktop, you can have the figures, and then you can make it a bit smaller, you know, something like this. And you can type something like figure 1, for example, powder X-ray action pattern of zip twister and bridge. And then you can also add more details, because sometimes people don't take advantage of the figure labeling to add more information. Maybe I will add something like this. All right. And then bowl here, and then center. And then one thing that I usually do when I write my thesis or papers, like click format picture, you must make sure, no, sorry, not format pictures, but you must make sure that that text should be in line with text, so that this thing is not going to move at all. So it's going to move with the line only. All right. So yeah, that's pretty much it on how to create the figure and then transfer them to your Microsoft Word processor, for example. All right, guys, I hope you learned something today. I hope you learned a new and cool, you know, software that can be used to create your own plot. So I hope you know, take advantage of this software, because it is free, and try to make try to spend time to make a nice figure. Okay, that will be all for me. Thank you all for listening, and I'll be seeing you guys maybe in the next video. All right, bye bye.